What is the demands of a modern day feminist?
I think the sad fact is we all have our own agenda.
Maybe it's lost some of its meaning, but feminism historically has gone through different waves.
Welcome to Bridge the Gap, a show where we aim to build a bridge of understanding between opposing views. Each episode you'll see our participants sit down to discuss some thought-provoking statements. If they disagree with the statement, they'll leave their seat and allow those that agree to explain themselves.
It takes two people to create a child.
Those that disagree then return and express themselves to the rest of the group.
Say the guy is not around when you find out you might be pregnant and he can't really have a say, like he's in another country.
Hopefully building a bridge of understanding. Let's see what happens.
Sorry?
Equality can be achieved without feminism.
Wait, no, I do agree.
Oh, okay, I'm not alone, all right.
You were looking at
I was gonna say, like, I don't mind, I can for myself if I have to. Hey, the fundamental goal of feminism is equality. So for me, they're one of the same. So if you believe in equality, you believe in feminism. And if you achieve equality, indirectly you're going to achieve feminism because that's the whole purpose of equality. Feminism for me is obviously, you know, ideology that's based on equality, but they've got their own different faculties and their own different views and how they want to pursue that. And I think if you attack the problem at the core, all the sort of smaller issues get solved anyway.
Yeah.
Because most of the world's issues are around equality, full stop.
Yeah.
If you solve that equality, feminism indirectly is going to be solved.
Exactly. It sounds horrible to rank equality.
Yeah, how
but
doing that?
let's just say the main lack of, let's say, racism. Like, can that be solved without feminism? Possibly, yeah, because it would touch feminism. That's why I agree with the statement. But like, I mean, there are so many different facets in feminism. Also, I have the issue that feminism can obscure the real purpose of equality. So maybe if we don't call it feminism, we can have equality. Sadly, that might be...
I agree with you. And this is the thing, like a lot of change agendas, sometimes we get lost in like the pain of whatever you're suffering because of your cause, that you end up isolating people even more.
Unfortunately.
And the whole point of the equality search is to be more equal, right?
Yep.
It's to bring people together and more inclusion. And indirectly, sometimes when you're so impassioned about something and you're so led by the closure you've not yet received, you actually distance yourself from people. So if we can...
This is happening so much
you see
these
what I'm
days.
saying? If we can solve the first goal of equality, most of the agendas get solved anyway.
Exactly,
So.
yeah. Like, you know, this radical feminism, and I think, yeah, that is a thing, and people saying that maybe if you're a radical feminist and you're of an ethnic minority, but do we call people who hate racism radical against racism? No, it's only feminism that has to categorize.
Yeah.
So maybe feminism is just hindering the equality a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be devil's advocate because
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
feminism is good, but there are issues with it. So yeah, agree with you.
Yeah. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. Say that again? Play it on. Oh, okay, yeah. Talk to us, guys.
No, I think I just want to kick it off by saying, cool, I think, you know, feminism in of itself, like the movement so far has already inspired and sparked other movements, i.e. black feminism. So regardless of whether we achieve a more equitable, more equal society, feminism has already played a huge role. Without feminism, we wouldn't have the, you know, sort of political freedoms that women rightfully deserve right now. And when you look at sort of countries in the developing world, feminism is still a huge force for them. There, you might sort of come to the conclusion that feminism has run its course in sort of the 21st century and in modern developed countries, but I still think there's a lot that feminism can offer, in particular black feminism. I think that hasn't really reached its full potential yet. So of course feminism isn't the only thing that's going to lead to equality, but I still think it has a lot to contribute to that sort of discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree because I don't believe in singular narratives. I feel like you're asking whether or not you can achieve change by just having one voice, and I don't think you can.
I think my perspective is that, I think going off what you were saying, is that the term feminism, when it was first, during its inception, really just raised a question regarding, you know, inequality in our society, be that whether it was, you know, started off with females, and then became much more multifaceted. I think where we are now, we're answering questions on a different level than we were before. I think it also goes into what you're saying about the grades of equality, but I think in terms of going into whether you're black, you're Asian, Arab, whichever, we're starting to talk and have much more different conversations about what equality looks like in those circumstances.
Do you guys find these terms divisive, though? Sometimes? Or any kind of ism? Do you find these terms divisive?
I don't find them divisive. I think isms are just a way of grouping people together, but, for example, we've got socialism, right? People, have debates about whether Jeremy Corbyn is a true socialist, because for some people he's not radical enough. Some people in the Labour Party, a socialist party, are considered being too right-wing, too sort of neoliberal. Tony Blair, for example, there's a huge debate going on right now. Was Tony Blair actually a socialist, or was he a neoliberal? So I think isms are, they play a role in sort of helping discourse.
I think, I think often we're very scared to identify with things that we might not necessarily believe in. So earlier you spoke about, I know you corrected yourself, your inability to speak on the Black Lives Matter movement because you're not black. And it's like, that's not what the movement is about. Your voice is equally as important as mine. I might have a different passion, or my truth is different from yours, but that doesn't change the fact that you can use your voice to contribute to the growth and change that we want within the movement. So I always feel like people are scared to kind of walk in the grey area when they stay in the polarised side of things.
Yeah, but that's an ism in itself. The idea that you expressed is liberalism. The idea that anyone can so whatever sort of you sort of perpetuate or you sort of say, it will always fall into some sort of category. But I think people are a combination of different ideologies, right? So, for example, when Tony Blair was in power for, I think, 10 years, the Blairism was coined, right? That's essentially his policies. He set up policies was called Blairism. Hopefully one day there'll be Dadarism, which is my last name. So you know what I'm trying to say? So, you can't really get caught up in the isms too much. So you want to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, on top of the isms, I think bringing it back to feminism. Feminism, I think, is necessary in its ism because it's a battle cry. One, to explain that we are fighting a war on this front, and we are fighting a war on equality within our society or societies, but also at the same time, before I lose my train of thought, this issue is bigger than one person. I think, going back to what you're saying, and I think equality is something that it's an ideal and it's something that we want to achieve, but it's so much bigger than all of us. I think isms is a way of calling upon allies in situations whereby those are too disenfranchised to get their voices heard in the areas they should be, even though they understand the powers at play. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to still have that.
Yeah, I agree. Isms are good. Like, we need ways to identify with our problems, and it's hard to take on the macro issues in the world on your own and try and make sense of them on your own. Yeah. Having these isms just gives you a bit of a cause that you can get on board with.
Exactly.
And you can, as you said, you can move between all the isms because you're not one way. You're multifaceted. You can dip in and dip out, and it's about finding the causes that appropriate your problems at the time and fighting for them.
Yes, you mentioned social media. Oh wait, no, not social media, polarization.
Yes.
Does social media make that even worse though? We have isms, but social media makes it splits us apart over them rather than unites us?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah. Again, I speak a lot on fears. People are scared to be controversial. People are scared to ask questions. People are scared to dissect information.
Cancel culture.
Exactly. And of course, it's much easier to sit behind social media and make jokes or kind of laugh at people who do have questions. This whole cancel culture it's not progressive. It's very anti-personal development. It's okay to make mistakes. Just put yourself on the front line and allow yourself to grow and learn.
I was going to just say on your point, I'm with you all the way. I think our biggest problem as a society is no one's willing to just say, I don't know.
Facts.
No one wants to say, actually, I ain't got the answers. And we need to normalize not knowing things to move the discourse further.
Or even getting things wrong.
And getting things wrong and accepting mistakes as a viable part of growth.
Yeah, but I think the problem right now is social media's put us in factions, and it's made the idea of being the audacious is now agreeable. If you search the right place in Facebook or Twitter, you'll find some portion that agrees with, let's say, your portion of what you think feminism looks like. Even though it can be twisted, you found your little pool that agrees with you. So now you think I'm right because these people agree with me. So I can't, I'm not just by myself. I can have those.
It's about echo chambers, and I think one of the most perfect examples, right, was the most recent general election, where Boris won the biggest majority in modern history, 80 seats. And on the TL on Twitter, right, the black Twitter were like, how can Labour not lose, man? Everyone I know is voting for Labour. Boom, boom, boom. And then the way they were sort of shocked that, there's people in the country that actually think different.
This is
There's
it.
people in the country that actually want Boris Johnson to be Prime Minister. Oh my God. So I think social media, in a way, makes you less educated and makes you less
100%.
informed of the
Disenchanted, mate. Like, Twitter's not real life. Like, people need to get it. What you think people agree with doesn't change things in the wider world. Like, your impact is so small.
And you need to read.
Read.
I'm very big on obviously trying to access information from different places, but you can't afford to use social media as your main engine of education. Like, you just need to understand, even if people are voting for Conservative, why. We're talking about money, we're talking about economic growth. Like, it's not about the fact that you're racist. It's not just that. It's like, just read.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good.